Hey everybody, I hope that this video finds you well and that you're safe and comfortable and having a decent day and that everybody is healthy. And I think one of the things Sue asked, what do we do with, how do we help? And I think, providing information, false hope or false positivity is not really, I think, appropriate because we don't know what this current situation is going to do on the supply and demand of houses. And so I think, I think one of the things that we do well, excuse me, as a company and as individuals is to understand things in a factual and quantitative way. Um, so to that end, I read a couple of magazines. One of them is Housing Wire, and their question was, did they think that the current pandemic was going to cause real estate prices to crash? And the short of it is they said no, they did not think so because there were three criteria that they were looking at, and they were looking at mortgage rates, inventory, and distressed sales like foreclosures. So what they did was they took these three barometers: mortgage interest rates, inventory, and the number of distressed sales. And they said that historically, these three factors, that they are markers and may indicate a shift in the real estate market. And so they determined that, as we know, interest rates are not going to. So interest rates would need to rise. There'd need to be a wide expansion of inventory, and distressed sales would need to go up dramatically in order for prices to crash. This is according to the Housing Wire. And what they say is none of these things line up. Interest rates are still extremely low. There will be some increase in inventory, they think, because first of all, there will be job loss. There's unemployment issues now, right, facing us, and so there's fewer buyers who can buy, and then there's going to be sellers who won't want to list their homes because of fear of, you know, how to handle infection if it may come in the house. And I have some thoughts on that too. And Sue's helping me to formulate a list for the company of how we approach our business. So there will be some rise in inventory because of this, because there will be more unemployed. They won't be able to buy homes, and sellers may not want to list their homes. But there won't be a high influx of distressed properties because of what either the federal government or the Federal Reserve did to shore up foreclosures most recently. Another article that I read to this point of what is market value and how is the pandemic going to affect the wider real estate market. This person as well said that while there are a lot of pressures on our market and on the real estate market, that even in the current scenario where before the pandemic, where we had low unemployment, solid wage growth, low mortgage rates, right? Prime opportunity for a solid growing real estate market. What has also happened is it takes 4.4 times the average household income to buy a house. So we were already getting to, according to this author, we were already getting to that shift that always happens in the real estate market, because it's a bellwether, right? As unemployment starts to rise and wage growth starts to stagnate, right? Then interest rates go up, and that's tied to the bond market. And I can't go there. I understood it for about 10 seconds. But he says, right, that people still need houses. And so there's not going to, that sometimes even in normal recessions, that the housing market might go up because people still need houses. Now, see, that's my caveat, because the high country, to me, is primarily a second home vacation market. And while this author says that the stock market is not usually tied to the real estate market, the real estate market is not usually tied to the stock market. So just because the stock market has lost value back to, gosh, I should know this, at least back to like 2000, I think. Don't quote me on that. I knew that a couple of days ago. That even so, but in this scenario, that the stock market, the huge decline in the stock market will impact, in my opinion, people's decision to buy second homes. So I think there's a caveat. But both of these authors say that, that right now it's not useful or helpful to really talk about market value with buyers and sellers, except to say that we are on pause, and that analysts seem to think that the current scenario, that there were already pressures on the real estate market, but none more than the normal pressures, and that prices really had kind of attained this sweet spot of low employment, solid wage growth, low mortgage rates, high sellers market. It had already kind of pressed out and was going to have a mild correction anyway. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about, was just to kind of give you a sense of what I think is happening, and what we need to take into account. Like, it's a much bigger picture when somebody says, what do you think the real estate market's going to do? I think we want, as a company, we are very cautious. We're not a company that say, well, let's go list a house. Let's buy. This is a time to be cautious and careful, and to really guide our clients and consumers really well, because it's who we are.